This hour, significant liquidity challenges and the ability to meet financial requirements is the major theme as Eskom released their financial results for the year ended March 2018. The power utility reported a net loss of 2.3 billion rand in the year ended March, compared with a 9 billion rand profit the previous year. It has also reported irregular expenditure of 19.6 billion rand. That's an increase of 3 billion rand, and that's over the course of about 6 or 7 years. The liquidity position of the organization continues to face significant challenges. The power utility has reported debt from municipalities has increased by 44%. There is no provision for bonuses for workers for the 2018 financial year. Chairman Jabu Mabuza says the board was disappointed it could not avoid a qualified audit. Mabuza says the board has intensified a cleanup campaign at the parastatal after it was rocked by massive corruption scandals.
We as a board are disappointed that a qualified audit could not be avoided for this financial year. Our view is that our challenges in their nature cannot be solved overnight. We are comfortable, though, that great strides have been made in our key focus area, with a number of initiatives being set in motion to address these key issues in a sustainable manner. I'll come back to this point on the qualification, but first let me pick up the few things within our areas of focus. The board have intensified our cleanup campaign. Since our inception, we have seen several executives and staff members implicated in serious allegations and misconduct fall by the wayside. Some criminal proceedings have already been initiated. We continue to pursue wrongdoing and take corrective action. I believe that our commitment to improving our governance practices has in the medium term resulted in greater number of issues of irregularity and impropriety coming to light. Of course, key to this is achieving the objective is also a stable and a capable executive leadership. And as such, the appointment of Pagamani Hatebe as permanent group CEO was prioritized and finalized. The board has also resolved that the size, the functional diversity and complexity of the institution warranted a 3 top persons executive leadership, comprised of group chief executive, chief financial officer, and a chief operating officer. This culminated in the appointment of Jan Oberholzer as our chief operating officer, as announced recently. We are still in the process of appointing a CFO and believe that finding the right candidate is key, not only for the stabilization and restoration, but also for the design and execution of our strategy for the future. At this point, let me assure you that we do believe that the current acting CFO is perfectly correct, is right, is doing the job that needs to be done. So in our view, the priority had to go into the operational side, which is why we sort of brought forward the issue of the COO. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the improvement in Eskom liquidity position, the organization continues to face significant financial and liquidity challenges. In the short to medium term, mainly due to high debt burden, low sales growth, higher primary energy and employee benefits expenses, as well as finance costs. The reality is that while Eskom generates adequate cash to meet its operational requirements, it has to borrow to service debt for the investment activities. Prioritizing financial sustainability and strengthening of the balance sheet while minimizing reliance on debt and government guarantees remain our priorities.
For more on the story, we cross to our reporter Mbongeni Mutwa, who is at the results presentation. Good afternoon, Mbongeni. Give us some more highlights from that Eskom presentation.
Well, maybe just to focus on, there was, of course, what we were waiting to, some of the key things that we were waiting to hear about is, as part of what they call the cleanup process. So far, how many senior executives have been maybe disciplined and fired and so on. So we got the number. It's 10 so far, senior executives that have been fired from here since these new guys came in here. And they are saying they are busy finalizing other outstanding disciplinary disciplinary hearings against senior executives. Also, another staggering figure here of 1,049 disciplinary cases that have been brought against employees here, of which 628 have been finalized, resulting in 75 employees being dismissed. There is also a number, about 25 staff members who've been fired for doing business with Eskom. These are Eskom employees who've been fired for doing business with Eskom. And also there's lifestyle audits that are underway. At the moment, they are focusing on senior and middle management, and the CEO did say that when that process has been finalized, they will then move down to the rest of the organization down below. There is also supplier contracts that have been investigated in terms of being irregular and so on. Those contracts, they amounted to a total of about 2.3 billion rand, these contracts, and 5 of the suppliers have been terminated that were implicated in this. And of course, there's been this running elephant in the room, the McKinsey, the payment to McKinsey, the 1.6 billion and so on. They are saying that they have recovered 900 million from McKinsey, and then they are pursuing interest from them with regards to that. Of course, the bottom line here is that Eskom has reported a loss of 2.3 billion rand. This in the middle of the tough ongoing wage negotiations with the unions. The unions, of course, it was confirmed what the unions said over the weekend, that they were told by management on Friday that there's this loss that they've made, which they're going to report today, and because of that, the workers can forget about getting a bonus. With, of course, the majority union here reacted immediately and said they regard that as a declaration of war. So it has been confirmed today that indeed there is this loss, and that the issue of the bonus to the workers is out. Right now, I am going to be joined by Mr. Paris Mashiko, who is the head of bargaining for NUM here at Eskom. He's just come running. Mr. Mashiko, please stand over here. Yes, a quick one. Thank you very much for joining us. Your reaction. So now we know it's official, 2.3 billion rand, no bonus. It's out of the question. What's your reaction?
No, in terms of the finances, we expected that Eskom will make a loss. In fact, we expected 8 billion, but we are told now it's 2.6 billion. We don't want to link this to the issue of bonus on the following matter. The bonus is paid in terms of EBITDA. And when it comes to EBITDA, we have made a profit of about 2 billion in EBITDA. So we are saying that our members who have met the requirements of the performance scheme should be rewarded in terms of that. And that remains our position. What worries us is the posture that is taken by Eskom, that they are not going to pay bonuses at all. We said in 2015 we were faced with a similar situation. The board by then went out and looked at the condition of service, which allow for an ex gratia payment. And we are saying if that ex gratia payment this current board can look at, can be a solution to the problems that we are facing. But it looks like this Tumamina Brigade is not interested in solutions. They are only interested in satisfying the bankers and the lenders. What we are warning them is that if you demotivate workers, it will take you too long to get them motivated again. And the approach, they should refrain from it because it doesn't help at all.
Lastly, at the moment, the offer on the wages is 7.5. You've come back and said the bonus, that's the deal breaker now. So as you sit here now, are you optimistic that, of course, the negotiations are continuing, you're going back, I believe, on Wednesday, on Friday. Are you optimistic that eventually you and management will find each other, and then that will avert your members downing tools here?
Look, it is very difficult for us because in the previous years when we have reached this level, we normally go down to our members and sell the offer to members. This time is different because we can't sell that offer to members. When we come to members, they tell us that we want our bonuses. In 2015, we didn't perform at all, but we received our bonuses. What is the difference this year? Because when you look at the generation performance, it has increased drastically, which influenced the entire operational performance. Now, that's where our members are. We are saying they have performed, they have met and exceeded their targets. They must be rewarded. What we don't want to see is going back to where we were with the 0%, where our members goes again on strike. That management didn't listen. The country at that time lost about 50 billion just only on one day. We don't want that similar situation to come back. But if our members are pushed to the limit, they have no choice. Their power will prevail.
Mr. Mashiko, I thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Nzinga, there you have it. You heard it for yourself. That needs no interpretation. Of course, in rounding up, one has to also highlight the fact that it's been made very clear here by Mr. Jabu Mabuza that the workforce of Eskom, as it stands at 48,000, in the view of management and the board, is bloated. He even gave a figure that they believe that it's bloated by a third. Now, if you calculate a third of 48,000, you get 15,800 workers or so. That's the number of jobs that are clearly on the line now, even though Mr. Mabuza was very cautious as to actually give a clear word that management intends to trim this number of workers or to retrench these people. But he used the word, he said it's unacceptable that the number of workers here exceeds the requirement in their view by this much. Also, even Mr. Pramani had to explain that the number increased from 32,000 to 48,000 without a corresponding increase in productivity or output. Output in terms of electrification has remained the same. So that's something that is going to come to the fore quite sharply as we move forward in terms of how the board and this management intends to deal with this issue of retrenchments.
Mbongeni Mutwa giving us an update on the Eskom results and of course a reaction from unions. It's time for a short break. More business news after that. Please stay with us.